Hey, well, greetings. No, I'm not on Mars this week. Hopefully, you figured out where I was talking to you from last week, and that's all just the fun of video. Not really there because really, I'm in my basement, which is where I teach from. And so this week, wanted to, as you can see here, last week you learned about our solar system with Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And you can see the little moon in there. Well, this week we're going to talk about how you travel to these places, how anybody does that. And again, I have loved planes, helicopters, and rockets forever. Okay. And this was me in first grade when I saw a rocket launch on TV for the first time ever. It was so exciting. Okay. Because it was 50 years ago. I'm kind of old. So if you go back to when I was in first grade, that was 50 years ago. And a program called Apollo sent astronauts to the moon. And it took them 3 days to get there. They traveled 250,000 miles. It was an amazing journey. And they actually ended up stepping on the moon. Okay. And how did they get there? Well, this is what I watched 50 years ago. I watched this rocket launch.
20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Now, this is bigger than any building in Vermont. It's a huge rocket, and up in the very tip top, there were 3 astronauts. And 3 days later, they made it to the moon. But man, it takes huge rockets to do that. And humans have been going in space ever since. We still launch rockets pretty regularly. Okay? And so that was the Saturn V that I saw.
20 seconds and counting.
All right. So, but that was 3 days to get to the moon. So what I want you to think about is, what about Mars? How far away is Mars? Because we're talking about going there. Well, the first thing I want you to think about, if you held your hand up like this and put the moon here and the Earth here and made them this far apart, and we said, okay, compared to that, how far away is the moon? How far away is Mars? You would have to put Mars out on the sledding hill. That's how much farther away it is than this. Think about that. So it takes a lot longer to get there. If you were starting to walk that distance, it would take you 4,000 years. If you were to drive there in a really fast car, like a fancy Tesla, it'd still take you 228 years of driving all day long. And flying a rocket, I remember the rocket went to the moon in 3 days. Well, it takes 8 months to fly a rocket to Mars. It's a long ways away. Okay? And how do you get there? Well, this is how you get there.
How do you get to Mars? If you want to send a spacecraft all the way to Mars, first you'll need a fast rocket to escape the pull of Earth's gravity. The heavier your spacecraft, the more powerful your rocket needs to be to lift off. Next, make sure you launch at the right time. Mars and Earth orbit the Sun at different speeds and distances. Sometimes they're really far apart, and other times they come closer together. About every 2 years, the 2 planets are in perfect positions to get to Mars with the least amount of rocket fuel. That's important. The total trip is over 300 million miles. Finally, make sure your aim is right. You can't shoot for where Mars is at launch time. You have to aim for where it will be when you get there. It's a lot like how a quarterback passes a football. Also, you may need a few thrusts to correct your direction along the way so you don't miss Mars. If all goes well, you'll get to the red planet in about 7 or 8 months. Then, if you actually want to land on Mars, well, that's a whole other challenge.
All right, so that's how you get there. And there actually is a rocket on the way to Mars right now. It was launched last July, and here's a little NASA promo talking about it.
Let's light this candle. 10, 9,
8,
7, 6,
5, 4,
3,
2, 1, 0. And liftoff as the countdown to Mars continues.
Lift off. Lift off. Lift off. Lift off.
The perseverance of humanity launching the next generation of robotic explorers to the Red Planet.
Bon voyage!
Best of luck for 7.
Good luck, Perseverance!
And who's on this rocket? There are 2 robots. One is a huge rover. It's bigger than most cars. It's called Perseverance. And then a cute little drone called Ingenuity that's going to test whether things can fly around Mars. It's going to take a little test flight. And they're arriving there next week. Okay, so it's pretty exciting. That's why we've been learning about Mars. And so our goal this week is to let you give a try, being a little rocket engineer. Your teachers have some lessons for you. I hope you enjoy it.